burrata made in the Netherlands, an unexpected discovery in small-town Spain, and a damn mess. This week, it's all about cheese.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink Podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel podcast for foodies. You've landed on the place where we explore the great cuisine of the world at destinationeatdrink.com and on the Destination Eat Drink podcast. This week, we're traveling to the Netherlands, Canada, Ireland, Spain, and the United States for some iconic cheeses, as well as some favored by the late night crowd, if you know what I mean, as well as some delicious vegan options. But first, if you like the show, be sure to rate and review us and give up those 5 stars like Cholesterol Doc, who reviewed Destination Eat Drink on Apple Podcasts. They said, engaging and interesting shows. Brent's shows bring you all over the world and into sometimes micro-regional cuisines that may be new to you. It's a different take on travel. Brent enjoys showcasing these off-the-beaten-path locations and the history of their cuisine. His guests are knowledgeable and interesting. Worth your time. Thanks, Cholesterol Doc. This week on the show, I thought we'd revisit some of my favorite conversations about cheese. After all, who doesn't love a gorgeous cheese plate with some wine, or a giant platter of nachos with a beer at the game? We're not talking only artisan cheese, but late-night cheese snacks and delicious vegan cheese, too. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Kevin Durkee runs Culinary Adventure Company. He takes foodies on tours around Toronto and Canada. He tells me about the origins of his nickname, the Big Cheese, and the Canadian classic Poutine.
Yes, I do call myself the owner and the Big Cheese, partly because I'm the boss, but partly because I've now spent the last sort of 15 years within artisanal Canadian cheese. Before I purchased the Culinary Adventure Company, I ran a restaurant in Toronto called Cheeseworks. And you can imagine with a name like Cheeseworks, it was dedicated to ooey gooey, comfort, delicious cheese. But I was always focused on local artisanal product. And we want to bring that. One of the spectacular things that Canada is doing is cheese. There is no question that old world recipes, incredible product from Portugal, Lisbon, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, England are the standards and sort of the gold bar of what to create. But cheesemakers here in Canada are using incredible milk. They are using similar recipes, but bringing it to life in a more of a innovative, new format, new way that are rivaling some of the cheeses, some of the best cheeses in the world. So I would be hard pressed for any guest who joins us on a food tour, anyone that you send us after this podcast, for people not to fall in love with Canadian cheese. When you think about the styles, of course, places like Quebec, you're finding softer, beautiful, decadent bries, camembert, soft and semi-soft product. In Ontario, we celebrate one vendor as an example, Mountain Oak, which is a second generation Dutch farm that is doing incredible milk sourcing themselves, but they're making their milk into this in spectacular Gouda or Gouda. And so things like that are tasted on the tour. So you're going to need to give me a whole nother podcast, Brent, because we could talk cheese for a couple of hours. But I suffice it to say that the selection and choice and the quality of what we're making in Canada is bar none some of the best in the world.
Well, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, sorry, Fran. We got some good cheese here.
Excellent. I think one thing we should talk about before we get off of this is Poutine. And I'm a little bit familiar with Poutine because I grew up in the Chicago area. So we, Wisconsin, they talk about their Poutine, but I don't think anyone talks about Poutine like Canadians do. What can you tell me about Poutine? First of all, a lot of folks maybe don't know what Poutine is. So give me an idea of what it is, and then tell me why it's special in Canada.
Well, first of all, we're going to make sure that you say it correctly.
Right. Please correct my pronunciation.
So it's not po, it's poo, and you drop the e on the end. So Poutine or Poutine. So you try to put a little French flair into it, and it will get you a
Okay.
better plate.
Okay,
But
good.
Poutine, yeah, Poutine is certainly very much a Quebec staple. In the 1950s, it really sort of came to life, and it was partly because so many of the restaurants and businesses were close to the fromagerie or the cheese factories in sort of the center of Quebec. That in the 50s, it was a go-to, simple, easy dish. It was cheap and cheerful. And there's lots of sort of rumors and history of what has transpired. But fundamentally, a customer in the middle of Quebec in the middle of the 1950s went into a restaurant and asked for basically a to-go item, wanted the French fries, wanted the fresh curds that were available, and said, you know what, I'd love some gravy for my fries. Just put it all together. I've got to go. And ultimately, when the restaurant did put it together, they ended up putting the gravy and the cheese on the fries, stuck it in a bag, and handed it to him. He reportedly said, "Ça va falloir maudit poutine," which basically translates out of French to say, that looks like a damn mess. And that's pretty much what it is. And so Poutine became this sort of colloquial, sort of cute name to bring this sort of messy, sticky, savory pile of crispy French fries, remarkable beef gravy, and fresh cheese curds. And it is delicious, but I think it's only delicious when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're stone drunk.
Right.
Past that, there are other delicious Canadian items that we would much prefer to treat you to. But it is a staple. I do recommend those that try it to try it in Montreal or Quebec City. It is a little bit more authentic there. But of course, there's always a few spots in and around the city of Toronto to try it if you're looking for one. But it's a damn mess that happens to be damn delicious.
Good. Thijs van Roen from Amsterdam Food Tours tells me about some great Dutch cheese, including the classic Gouda. I remember visiting the Netherlands and eating lots of really, really, really high quality cheese, and all the Dutch people enjoying cheese. Of course, Gouda is maybe the most famous cheese to come out of the Netherlands, but there's a lot more, I'm sure. Tell me about the cheese culture in the Netherlands.
Yes. Okay. So, well, obviously is massive, and so the hard cheese that is what used to be traditionally the Dutch cheese, and Dutch cheese is a lot of times is named after the village where it has been traded after marketplaces. So, if you take, for example, Gouda, you say Gouda, we say Gouda cheese or
Gouda.
house style cheese. Gouda. There we go again. Um, so that was produced around the city of Gouda and then brought to the village, and that's where the cheese market used to be. So that's where it has its name from. So the same goes, for example, people might know the round, the cannonball red cheese from the Netherlands called Edam. So there's
So
an
good.
Edamer cheese. So that is from the city of Edam, for example. Then you have Alkmaar, which is north of Amsterdam, where you have loads of cheeses coming from there. Leiden, you name it. So that's a little bit how Dutch cheese is, why it's named that way. And Gouda kaas, I have to tell you a story about it. Is actually so it's not produced in Gouda, but it's a type of cheese, and that's often if we have people on our tour that think, oh, Gouda is one flavor. No, it's not. There's a whole range of Gouda cheese. It has one characteristic, and Gouda cheese is very creamy and has to do with its size and its fat percentage. So it's a style of cheese making rather than a particular flavor of cheese. And for the last 10 years or so, we are making really good soft cheese as well, blue cheese, burrata, even mozzarella. You won't believe it. But we have a very huge cheese making scene here in the Netherlands. What I think that they can easily compete with the French and the Italian cheese makers, but I might be biased.
You might be, but that's okay, because I'm here to say that the Dutch make beautiful cheeses, and there's lots of it to choose from. I'm sure you can go to the grocery store and just buy cheese, but if we want to have a real Dutch experience, where should we go to buy our cheese?
So you indeed would, well, first of all, you have to know what type of cheese you need to buy. So actually we have two varieties in terms of quality. So we have the cheese that is pasteurized and is made in the factory, from all kinds of milk, coming from all kinds of farms, mixed together, like a hamburger chain producing type of cheese, always the same flavor wherever you are.
Okay.
I'm very sorry, but that's the cheese we export to you guys.
The Americans, they won't know the difference. We're going to send them.
Yeah, well, you also have to change the law because you're not allowed to have raw milk cheese, I believe, over there.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And the best quality Dutch cheese is made from raw milk, and it comes from one farm where it is organically made. And there is a name for it. We call that boerenkaas, farmhouse cheese. So, and that is cheese that is produced under strict control. And like I said, it comes from one kind of farm only, and it is a raw milk cheese. So it has way more flavor. So that's what you're looking for. Now, what you can do is you can go to a good supermarket even, and you look for boerenkaas, and then you already will have much better cheese than, I'm sorry, the most tourist shops in the city center try to sell you, like the big names. I won't name them here.
Okay.
Or you go to the delicatessen shops in where the locals live, because there you eat a lot of bread, and we like to have cheese with that. And that's where you buy your cheese. So in general, I would say stay out of the city center and go more to areas like the Jordaan or the Pijp and try to find a cheese shop over there. Or the market, obviously. That's also a good place.
Or go with Thaish on a food tour.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do.
And he will take you to
absolutely.
The best cheese in Amsterdam.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got all the time to buy them, and we're happy to help you out to make your selection. Yes, absolutely.
Virginia O'Gare is an expat Texan who now makes her home in Cork, Ireland. Along with her husband, Donnell, she runs My Goodness, an outstanding vegan restaurant in the Irish city. Virginia tells me about one of her favorite dishes to serve. I wanted to talk about another dish that you guys serve at My Goodness that also blew my mind was your vegan nachos. Because,
oh yeah,
nachos are 100% totally Tex-Mex creation, and you can get them any restaurant in the U.S. But when I had your vegan nachos, and I've had vegan nachos before and I've enjoyed them, but you guys, I don't know what you did, but you guys have come up with the perfect recipe for the nacho cheese with the meltability, the flavor, a little bit of heat from some, I guess you must put some jalapeno in there or something. It's incredible, these vegan nachos.
I'm glad you like them. I really love them. I eat them almost every day still.
Oh,
but well, we live in, we're in Ireland. So what can you grow in Ireland? I've mentioned it's dark. I've mentioned it's really rainy, but you can grow really good root vegetables here and good cabbages too. Like things like carrots, potatoes, cabbages, they grow well here. So we decided we'd start making our cheese out of that as vegans. So our cheese is made from potatoes, carrots, jalapenos, which has been really fun to work with various farmers around here to start growing more chilies, nutritional yeast, lemon juice, some arrowroot, organic soy milk. We were even for a while making our own haricot milk because we can grow more haricot beans. We can grow haricot beans here more easily than soybeans, but in the end of the day, it was too much. It was about 10 hours a day to try to make enough haricot milk to make that cheese. But it's been a lot of experimenting, but I miss those nachos in Texas. I was a cheerleader back before I became an anarchist vegan punk rocker. And at football matches, football games, we used to go and eat nachos and disgusting like warm dill pickles out of a jar. And I thought it was great. Right. So our nacho dish is kind of an homage to that. It's that kind of like gross American plastic cheese, but we make it super healthy with turmeric and root vegetables. And then we top it with lots of different kind of pickled elements. So we'd make curtido out of fermented cabbages from here. We do a kimchi pico de gallo, which was created by accident once when I was trying to stretch out a kimchi dish that we had. And then we do, of course, our sour cream on top. We have jalapenos. We have a little bit of salad. And we do our nachos more like Tex-Mex style, almost like a Frito pie. So we have rice and like a chipotle tempeh black bean chili, which is contentious for some nacho lovers, but I stand by it and I think it's a good way to eat.
It's perfect. I love it. And I think maybe one of the things that makes it so good is that you're using root vegetables to make your vegan cheese, because so many vegan cheeses are nut-based. Nothing wrong with that. I've had some wonderful vegan nut cheeses. But I think that's what makes yours so incredibly flavorful is the root vegetable base that you use.
Thank you. And it's also, this is a little tip that I'm going to give you guys if you want to try it, like a potato and carrot-based nacho cheese. What we do is we get local potatoes, the waxier the better, and you just want to cook them so they're just undercooked. So it gives it almost more of like a silky texture. Yeah. And then we have a blender that is like a 4 horsepower engine. It's more expensive than any vehicle I've ever bought in my entire life.
Right.
But that also helps with the texture a lot.
Eunice Reyes is the creator of the YouTube channel Rated V. We bond over a vegan cheese shop in Austin, and she tells me about a vegan fondue in Spain.
I found someone there that makes vegan fondue.
I wanted to ask you about this because I'm obsessed right now with vegan cheese, and it's one thing that I'm having difficulty finding in Portugal. But when we were back in the U.S. in the spring, we went to this place in Austin, Texas, that basically makes their own vegan cheese, and they have it displayed in a deli case just like regular cheese, and they have everything from soft queso frescos all the way up to aged cheddars and blue cheeses and everything under the sun. And I tried a bunch of them. I was like, this is amazing. Rebel Cheese in Austin. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I see their Instagram all the time and it's just like, it looks so good. I can't wait. I want to go to Texas.
So it's as good as advertised. It's as good as the pictures, because I've been there and I was like blown away. I was like, this place is amazing. So we'll put. I've talked about Rebel Cheese before because I'm obsessed with them, but I'll put a link to them in the show notes along with all the places that you're talking about. But tell me about vegan fondue in Tarragona, please.
Yes. So the restaurant is called Crea. And she was actually the one that also mentioned like a kind of the statement that you said at the beginning of the last episode. Like during her interview, she doesn't advertise anything about like that the restaurant's vegan on the front, because she's saying like, why there's no other restaurants that advertise like, oh, we only serve meat or something, you know what I mean? So like, why do I need to say that my restaurant's vegan? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. And she didn't mean it in like some rebellious way at all. She was just making it from like more of a standpoint, like, you don't really think I see it the reverse way. So it's like, it's something that I think is really cool, because then sometimes there's a lot of stigma too, I feel like, with the word vegan. A lot of people nowadays, they think vegan, oh, it's not going to taste good.
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't try things just because they see the word vegan. It's like, but just give it a try. So I think that's another reason a lot of companies nowadays don't like to use the word vegan. They like to use plant-based or dairy-free or something, you know what I mean? So she makes her own vegan cheese, vegan fondue in-house. The base is cashews, and she even made her own charcuterie board, like meats as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can have a little bit of both. And oh my gosh, like the vegan fondue was so good. Like it's just like, and it was funny because like you said, I hadn't seen that anywhere, even in the bigger cities. Like I would expect something like that at one of the bigger cities, right, in Spain, or even the US. I haven't really seen any places that do that here. And so for me to find it in this small town of Tarragona, I was like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah.
I would suggest if you're a true vegan foodie, go to Tarragona just to have this vegan fondue, because it's an experience. Like she serves it with apples, or you could have it with bread or with the meats, And so it's just, and it's again, a really cute, like little small, like restaurant. And she has an amazing pesto that she makes herself as well, that you can have for toast on breakfast as well. So I think she also makes her own hazelnut milk.
I think I might have to go to Spain just for vegan fondue. I mean, it just sounds so awesome. Stu Helm is a foodie tour guide in Asheville, North Carolina, who's known as the food fan. He gives me the lowdown on pimento cheese. One dish I want to ask you about is pimento cheese because, you know, growing up in Chicago, I would occasionally see pimento cheese, but not really. And I never really got into it, I don't think, until I got to Asheville many years later. So for our folks who are listening, what is pimento cheese and how do you serve it? How do you eat it? Where would you go?
Well, Brent, I'm so glad you brought this up because pimento cheese is an important part of our lives here in Asheville.
Okay.
Like you, I grew up north. To me, pimento cheese was one of these things, almost like a fruitcake that would come out once a year, be covered in almonds always. And it would be hard.
Oh, right.
And I liked it as a kid, except for the pimentos. I didn't like the pimentos. But so that's my whole experience, like boring. And then I get here to Asheville, and like you, it's like you kind of need to embrace it when you're here because it's just everywhere you look. And then you realize how awesome it is. And what pimento cheese is basically, down here in the South anyways, is grated cheese, usually cheddar, mixed with mayonnaise and pimentos and other special ingredients that can be of the house. But those are the three main ingredients, are just grated cheese, mayonnaise, and pimentos. And you can sort of mash it up, or you can leave it kind of loose. You can put it on a burger, which is a big deal around here. And it's everywhere you look. Even fancy wine bars have like a pimento cheese plate that will come with fancy locally made crackers and stuff like that. So
pimento cheese and wine, I never considered that. That's brilliant.
Oh man, it's we used to go with food tours. We used to go into this place that's unfortunately not around anymore because of the shutdown. But they would always serve a little glass of cava with a tiny house-made biscuit with some pimento cheese, some country ham, and some pepper jelly. And it was one of the most popular bites on the whole tour.
That sounds amazing. I also see a lot of pimento cheese and fried green tomatoes served together. Is that still popular in Asheville?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're a great combination. Fried green tomatoes can sometimes be pickled, but they're always going to have an acidity to them either way. And the pimento cheese really helps to cut through that tang of the green tomatoes. And of course, you know, like here in Asheville, let's just face it, like anything. People are like, is it good with pimento cheese on it? Like, I'm sure that there's a place around here serving like raw oysters with a little daub of pimento cheese on it. In fact, now I'm going to ask for that somewhere.
Pimento cheese. You got to talk to the folks at Whole Donut. Maybe they'll make a pimento cheese donut.
Oh, I think that stay glazed is actually the more likely candidate.
Oh, right. Okay, there you go. Pimento cheese donuts. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that someone somewhere is like, that's a really good idea. Honey, let's cash out the kids' college fund. Thanks to Stu and all my guests on this week's show. I've got links to them and the places they talked about in the show notes at radiomisfits.com/DED227. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, we're visiting one of the best Italian neighborhoods in the U.S., so don't miss that. Until then, get over to destinationeatdrink.com. I just posted a story about an ancient stone circle that's older than Stonehenge. Read about that at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. I also just posted a video about my favorite restaurant and bar in Cordoba, Spain. You can see that on my YouTube channel at Destination Eat Drink 946, or go to destinationeatdrink.com and click on the videos tab. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla, a guy who wants to know why they're always pairing cheese with wine. I mean, where's the scotch and cheese pairing? Right you are, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson. I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.